Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Star Flames. So Sean Diddy Combs is fighting for his freedom, but there's a little bit of sunshine going on for him as it relates to the case wherein the court had ruled in the $100 million default judgment. That judgment has now been overturned after his attorney, David Fink, has proved that inmate Derek Lee has not properly served Diddy any notice of the sort as it relates to the lawsuit in accordance with Michigan law. Let's get into the details. But still, while this is good news for Sean Diddy Combs, he has way bigger problems than this. As I told you guys, automatically, it would have been overturned because they really knew what they were doing. And as such, they played their cards right. It worked out in their favor. No, Diddy got a small reason to smile according to reports, despite being behind bars in federal custody. A judge set aside the $100 million default judgment in his Michigan sexual assault lawsuit. The embattled rapper scored the legal win during a motion hearing Wednesday, where his attorney, David Fink, convinced the judge to set aside the massive judgment because inmate Derek Lee Cardella Smith, who claims Diddy drug and sexually assaulted him at the 1997 Detroit party, failed to prove he effectively served the lawsuit in accordance with Michigan law. We're talking about this gentleman who claimed that he was at a Diddy party. They were getting their freak on. He passed out, woke up, felt as though he was drugged. He saw Diddy having sex with a woman, and Diddy turned around, looked at him and said, "Oh, I did this to you too." I find that to be very funny. I find that to be, funny, and I don't think Diddy did that. I'm not saying that Diddy never assaulted this man, but his story is just very hilarious and ridiculous. No, this man himself is also an offender. He's known to have, these repeated actions. He's also known to be someone who commits a lot of fraudulent cases. Now, let's continue because according to the reports, they're saying Judge Anna Marie Judge Anna Marie Anzalone also scrapped the temporary restraining order stopping Diddy from selling off any assets to cover damage, noting Diddy has a likelihood of winning the case on the statute of limitation grounds because Cardella Smith claims date back to an alleged incident in 1997. If you guys remember when they initially argued the case, Sean Diddy Combs' attorney was like, "We're not saying it happened, but if it did happen, the statute of limitation did not exist to protect you. So if it did happen, there's no law to protect you. He's going to get away with it, providing that it did happen. We're not saying it did." So that's basically how they argued that case. Now, with this default judgment set aside, the case will now proceed like any other lawsuit. So Diddy's next expected step would be to file a motion to dismiss the case entirely. And I believe they're going to dismiss it entirely, not because Diddy has a lot on his plate, but because this man Cardello he's a known criminal, right? No, as we reported, Diddy didn't file an answer to Cardella Smith lawsuit, which is why the judge originally handed the inmate the $100 million judgment he was asking for. So I guess there was some amount of excitement. He felt as though he finally hit the lottery, and he was like, "Oh, the world is against Diddy, and Diddy's gonna give me that money," but no such luck. And again, I'm gonna have to say, this case is not going to go anywhere whatsoever. So I can see this one working out in Diddy's favor. Diddy's bigger problem is what the feds have on him. I don't think Diddy is even slightly or remotely worried about this guy. But guys, we know a lot is going on with Sean Diddy Combs, and we have a lot more to talk about. So let's get the discussion popping. What are your thoughts on this case as it relates to the $100 million judgment being set aside, and now the case is going to proceed like a normal case? Do you think that Cardella has any win, or do you think that it's going to be thrown out of court like what Diddy and his legal team is expecting? I want to hear from you guys. So let's get the discussion popping, honey. And remember, give me some sugar like I'm your neighbor, okay? And see you guys later. Bye, guys.